Good morning and welcome to the weekly platform service of Tri-County Unitarian Universalists based in Summerfield, Florida. We acknowledge that we occupy the ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of the indigenous Florida peoples. I am Nancy Garrison, today's service leader, subbing for Trish Schwartzberg, in case you wonder when you look at your order of service. Hello to our members and friends, and a special welcome to those who might be visiting here for the first time. Unitarian Universalists are united not by a creed of shared beliefs, but by a covenant of shared values. We celebrate that we do not need to think alike to love alike. It is our respect and encouragement of each other's diversity of thought. Yeah, I do better like this, but I looked at the video and it doesn't look very good when I hold it up. Diversity of thought that truly binds us together. For the curious and for the seekers, Unitarian Universalist values and covenant may be found on your order of service and at our website, triuu.org. Our newsletter can also be found there under News and Events. We have announcements, but first, please mute your phone or place it in airplane mode. Thank you. If you're here today looking for Reverend Christina, our minister is on vacation and will be back at the pulpit on August 2nd. This concludes our announcements, and as we now begin the service proper, we will recite our mission statement. Please join with your voice as we recite together. We unite in religious community to seek spiritual growth, live with integrity, and serve with compassion. Our chalice keeper today is Aaron Coleman. We invite those of you joining us on Zoom to light your chalice at home.
Instructions for living a life. Pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. Mary Oliver.
before attending, we on? Before attending Andover Newton Theological School in Massachusetts in 1994, Reverend Carole Yorke had a variety of careers. After college, she was a high school English teacher. Then she spent 10 years working for IBM. After a series of part-time jobs, she found a position teaching basic skills to recovering drug addicts at Integrity House in Newark, New Jersey. From there, having experienced the call to ministry, Reverend Carole went to seminary. She came to Florida in 1998, served several churches here, and retired. She came out of retirement to do preaching gigs in various churches and has found several interesting places to do further work. Reverend Carole lives in Dunellen with her 2 Pomeranians.
Seems like 5. Come, come whoever you are. Do you hear that voice calling you, calling us? That voice which calls us together here today in this room, made holy by our presence and by the sacred breath we share in our singing and speaking and silence. That voice which calls us to remember that we are not alone and that we are inextricably linked to all other life, woven into a vast tapestry of existence, of which we are a powerful, integral, and holy part. And just as we have been called together here today, we act as the voice, the heart, the hands of another call. The call to walk with the wanderers, sing and dance with the worshipers, proclaim the memory of those who have taken their leave, wrap the despairing and the broken in the arms of love and community, and hold the hands of all of us who have broken our vows and call us back again and again to the covenant and the work of justice, humility, and steadfast faithfulness. For this, we are here together today. So, my friends, come yet again, come. Let us worship together.
Please stand. Please stand as you're willing and able as we sing hymn number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth.
For the love which
Today, I'm going to do something I don't usually do. Every now and then I will. And that is to take a story from the Bible. You remember what a Bible is, right? It's that book that's over in the darkest recesses of your bookshelf, gathering dust. I went looking for one of my, at one time, many Bibles. I mean, I went to seminary. I took Bible classes, courses, right? In the Old Testament and the New Testament. I always liked the Old Testament better. Anyway, the only one I could find was so heavy that I didn't want to carry it with me today. So I went on Amazon and I got a soft cover Bible that's nearly as heavy as the one they didn't bring, but the print is a little larger, which is a good thing for me. It's not really large print, it's just larger print. I opened that Bible I said, who can read this? I wanted to read the story that Jesus told of the Good Samaritan, and you will get to hear more about that in a few minutes. This is from the book of Luke, in case you want to look it up, chapter 10 and some verses. I still have trouble. This is the parable of the Good Samaritan. And behold, oh, by the way, this version is the English Standard Version. This is the latest one published by those publishers that have done publishing the Bible over the years. This is after the new Revised Standard Version. This is the English Standard Version. I guess it means it's in standard English. A lawyer stood up to put Jesus to the test, saying, "Teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus said to him, "What is written in the law? How do you read it?" And he answered, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." And Jesus said to him, "You have answered correctly. Do this, and you will live." But the lawyer, desiring to justify himself, said to Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" Now there's a question I've heard in UU churches, haven't you? Who is my neighbor? Guess where it comes from? Luke. Jesus replied, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho on the only road that existed between Jerusalem and Jericho, and he fell among robbers, which was sort of a common thing to happen for people, especially those going on this road by themselves. They often got beaten up. These robbers stripped him and beat him and departed, leaving him half dead. Now by chance, a priest was going down that road, but when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. So likewise, a Levite was from the tribe of Levi, and these men were often temple workers. Likewise, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, he passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, who were enemies of the Jews, they hated each other. When a Samaritan, as he journeyed, came to where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. He went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he set him on his own animal, probably a donkey, and brought him to an inn and took care of him. And the next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper, saying, "Take care of him, and whatever more you spend, I will repay you when I come back." Which of these 3 do you think proved to be a neighbor to the man who fell among the robbers? And the lawyer said, "The one who showed him mercy." And Jesus said to him, "You go and do likewise." Here ends the story.
As we move deeper into our service, let us turn inward to consider transitions, the joys, sorrows, and concerns we all experience in our life's journey. There are 3 bowls of stones of different colors representing the gratitude of joy, the grief of sorrow, and the hope of concern. After those present have placed stones in the water, our ushers will place stones from each of the bowls into the water on behalf of those not physically present and those who have chosen not to, who are unable to come forward. Those online are invited to type into the chat to express what is in your heart. When all the stones have been mingled in the water and all have shared, we will take a moment for silent meditation or prayer. As the sound of the bells brings us back into community, we will sing our response, "Voice still and small." Ushers, you may now come forward. receive our offering. If you are visiting us for the first time, please do not feel obligated to give. You are our guest, and we are happy to have you here with us today. This is the time in our service when those who wish to make some monetary contribution to our congregation's vision and mission give to support this community and its outreach. I invite the ushers to come forward.
I forgot to tell you that this Bible on Amazon cost me less than $4. If you're looking to replace a Bible sometime. I'd like us to begin with a congregational exhale. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Those of you who heard that sermon? So, take a breath in and take a longer breath out vocally. Now everybody's in the ventral vagal stage where you can listen and learn and feel comfortable. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, see me later. Today we're talking about the sacred noticing of small things. The holy has moved house. It doesn't live in the big, loud, transcendent anymore. It lives in the small, soft, human things we're actually paying attention to. The sacred is whatever you decide to give your attention to. The old stories said, God is sacred. Power equals big battles, big miracles, big institutions, big egos that can't live without gold-plated toilets. Big selling fees, big debit card swipes. If it wasn't huge, it wasn't holy. And then those pesky feminist theologians came along again, different ones this time from what I referred to one other time, who said, look again. Catherine Keller says, creation started in the deep, not in a battle. Sarah Bessey says, sacred moments equal human moments. Barbara Brown Taylor says, the altar is your kitchen, your porch. My life these past couple of weeks says Kentucky Fried Chicken, bites of chicken for my dogs, minus the skin. And lukewarm coffee. It's still coffee. It's a baseball game that ended with a score of 16-12, and the Mets still lost. Sacred noticing is another great word, theopoetics. A great word. It means treating theology like poetry. Theopoetics. We don't argue God into or out of the room. We make holy by paying attention to the small, the soft, the human things already here. Everything that fits in my hands is where the holy lives now. If you can't find God in the big things this week, I don't know who's looking for God in the big things this week, but try looking in the small things. They were never not sacred. Barbara Brown Taylor, again, is the one who said, the altar is your kitchen. Even Jesus, in a different story, said that the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, is like the yeast, which starts out being hidden in flour. Not in a cathedral, but a kitchen. It's hidden and small and rises while nobody's watching. The sacred is not huge. It's the moment you said yes. It ties straight to our other word this morning, which is engage, engagement. The sacred equals what endures. The sacred is what you carry forward. The teaching, the listening, the showing up. The Samaritan, he saw the injured man. He went to him. He bandaged him. He saw. He went. He bandaged. That is sacred. That is engagement. Sacred is what happens when small gets your whole heart. It's not huge. It's set apart by attention. your attention. Sacred is yeast and flour and a bandage on a stranger. Sacred is the moment you stop, you see, and you say, yes. That's what engagement looks like. That's what Jesus did. And that is what my friend Mary Elizabeth does, and I'm coming back to her in a moment. And that's what we get to do. And now my friend Mary Elizabeth, can you picture the word sister in front of Mary Elizabeth? She was a nun for a good part of her young life, and she left, I think it was Sisters of Mercy, and she became an expert in education. I met her when I was working for IBM repairing typewriters. You remember typewriters, right?
Yeah.
This was in the late 80s. I had found Unitarian Universalism as well. I got a call one day for the adult education department at the North Plainfield, New Jersey High School. Needed a repair person. Mary Elizabeth was in charge of the adult education program, and we got to talking. She asked me why I was doing this job, carrying around this 45-pound tool bag, carting it into offices, repairing typewriters. I had to explain that gave me a lot of good feelings to fix that typewriter that wouldn't work. But anyway, told her about Unitarian Universalism. I was a member of the local, First Unitarian Society of Plainfield, New Jersey. This was in North Plainfield, New Jersey. Sometime later, on a Sunday morning, I was sitting in the pews and I had a tap on my shoulder. I turned around, it was Mary Elizabeth. Obviously, I told you that she was a Catholic, but she became a UU. I think because of me. So, our relationship, our friendship took off from there. We just connected over so many things and became friends. She got me because I had been a teacher before I went to work for IBM. So I had teaching credentials. So she had me teach a class called English for the Foreign Born. It was not ESL, English as a Second Language. You needed accreditation for that. I didn't have that. But English for the Foreign Born was something that this high school just put together. And it was for the wives of Chinese men who came to this country to work for the big complex that AT&T had in central Jersey during that time. So they came for the technology and learned English because they were speaking with English people. But the wives had nowhere to go to learn English except for this class. So we had a great time talking about basting turkeys for Thanksgiving and, all kinds of, that's not actually an everyday thing, but all kinds of everyday things that would help them learn English. English for the foreign born. Loved it. I loved it. Mary Elizabeth got me to do that. Later, when I was working at Integrity House at the long-term drug rehab facility in Newark, New Jersey, I called her because she was an expert in education. I had some questions because I was teaching basic skills. I knew that she knew a lot of people. I knew that she had a lot of experience. She helped me out. And she had a lot of access to people with money. And a place like Integrity House always needed money. So I introduced her to Integrity, and she fell in love with the place just as I did. And I was ready at that point to go to seminary, and she kind of stepped in for me and took over for me. And she fell in love with it, and they fell in love with her because of all the money that she was bringing in to them. Over the years, we kept in contact. She moved to Pennsylvania. She's still there. I found out within the last year through the grapevine that she had been in the hospital with severe heart health issues. It got so bad at the time, I was ready to make a trip up there to Allentown because it didn't sound like she was going to recover from whatever this was. But she did recover. And she came home from the hospital. I talked to her on a couple of occasions. She did not sound like the old Mary Elizabeth until one day I called her and she talked a bit. I said, "Oh my God, you do sound like the old Mary Elizabeth." And she agreed. She said, "Yes, people tell me that every day." She's 88 years old. She bounced back from pretty serious stuff. She was not finished engaging with life. She wasn't finished. In fact, she told me last week, somehow she had a contact with a local police department near Allentown. She's been asked, because of her teaching and counseling credentials, to come and sit with the young, new officers of the police department to help them with their aggression tendencies and to change their attitudes. So she sits with cops. The sacred is hidden, small, rising while nobody's watching. It's not gold. It's not stained glass. It's English for the foreign-born. It's Jesus sitting with lepers. It's Mary Elizabeth sitting with cops. It's finding money for the rehab facility. It's the communal exhale. It equals the moment you say, "Yes, I am safe." And it goes straight to the word engage. Engage. It equals what endures. Sacred is what you carry forward. It's the teaching, it's the listening, it's the showing up at age 88. Luke 10 is gold. The Samaritan he saw that Jesus saw, who saw the injured man. He went to him. He bandaged him. He took care of him. The priest and the Levite were two snobs who passed him by. Samaritan saw him. He was being sacred. It was sacred. That is engagement. The sacred is what happens when small gets your whole heart. Sacred is when small gets your whole heart. The whistle stop. I couldn't figure this out when I first saw it on your order of service and was told that's where the story happens. Connection. Heart. It's the moment you stop. You see and you say yes. That's what engagement looks like. That's what Jesus did. That's what my friend Mary Elizabeth does. That's what we all get to do. Connection. This church is the parable. A whistle stop. It only works if the train engages, slows down and stops, lets people on. Sacred is the stop. Engage is the whistle. This congregation has been the whistle stop for many people, for each other, for the neighborhood. Keep on whistling, keep on stopping. The dough is rising. The story is not finished, and neither is ours. Sacred shows up every day. Engage is what we do with it. So let's name it right now. This is called congregational participation. And no, you don't have to get up and dance in the aisle. Here's your question. What would you give as an example of something that you engaged with recently? A couple days ago, months ago, a year ago? What would you give as an example? Anyone who feels like sharing? Yep, and there might be a microphone coming to you, and Nancy is acting as my overcoming hearing aid person.
Well, I've been debating feeding the birds, putting bird food out, but I knew I wouldn't be able to keep it up. But I did have some flowers that came up again this year that attracted hummingbirds. And I thought, I've got a stand right there. I'm going to have it put in front of my window, and my husband did. And so there are these white flowers that have a wonderful fragrance, and then the hummingbird feeder, and I've got to work to fill it up every other day to keep it from going sour. And it just took forever to see the first hummingbird. And this week, sometimes twice a day when I go into that bedroom, there is my little hummingbird. He's brown with a red neck, and or she, and it is just a joy to me to see that and to know that maybe I can do something for the hummingbirds.
I didn't hear the beginning of what she said.
She was debating whether to put bird seed to attract birds.
Mm-hmm. And did she say how?
Well,
Did she say how she engaged?
Visiting a friend whose
hummingbird
husband is
feeder
in
and
the
that
hospital
hummingbird's
dying of cancer.
I'm sorry, we missed
I
that.
did, sorry,
I was interpreting.
Visiting a friend whose husband is in the hospital dying of cancer.
Well, so many people have already helped with the English program. English for foreign people, we call it English second language, but we don't have any credentials. Anyhow, so many people have helped with the program teaching English. So many people helped with the program at Dallas. So many people have helped giving rides to people. And it has meant a whole lot. I love doing it. I feel like maybe I'm teaching something. But more than that, I'm telling people that we care. And that means so much now. I get true joy out of it. And so many other people
Teaching
have
English
helped.
as a second language to community, just in general.
Yeah, we've been here since January and, oh, sorry. We've been here since January and, looking around for something to do for volunteering because I'm retired and trying to keep active that way. Most of what we do is for volunteering has been, animal-based. We do rescue organizations, that kind of thing. But we happened to go by Silver Springs a few months ago, and they had their volunteer thing out there and kind of got engaged with them. So just in the last couple of months, I worked their motor patrol. They have boats that go out there, and they've got a kayak patrol, and just did a stint for the archway, where right out front, when everybody comes up to Silver Springs, it's a way to kind of engage with the people in the beginning of the experience, kind of let them know where everything is, what's going on, because some people, they come from around the world to see this place, but they've never been there. But I'm realizing that I need that as much as these people do. And, that's such a natural resource that, we can all share. And for me to be able to stand there and really, to see the kids and all these people come that have no idea how beautiful the place is and what's there and what's available, it just feels so good to be able to share, my excitement about being there, with these people who, just they're there to have a good time and to share it too. And it's kind of funny when I started, once, like every organization, once you get there, you kind of start seeing the politics. There's things behind the scenes that may turn you off about the whole thing. But, in my head, I'm thinking, I'm here because of that resource. That spring is just fantastic. The animals, the spring itself. I'm going to let all that other stuff go, all that other back, scene stuff that go by, and just focus on the people and the resource and helping them enjoy it. So, it's really helped me a lot to kind of engage in the community and the place. So.
I have something to say. Okay. A lot of people come to church with donations of food for the food bank, and Phil and I go to Oklawaha to the Community of Gratitude Church, where they deliver food they give food to the poor people. The cars are lined up for blocks for them to pick it up, and every week we donate the money, the food that people from our church has given. And do you get to engage with the people when you drop off? Oh yeah. We talk to the people who run the place, and they know our little red Mini Cooper, and they know it's the Unitarian Church coming to donate.
I have a brother who is in stage 4 cancer in Cleveland, and I've kept in touch with him through my own problems of new heart valve and all that recently. And I just wanted to see how he was doing. I sent him some T-shirts that I found. He was always a sports guy. But I realized he was losing hope when his 2 children, they're just throwing up their hands now because he's kind of demanding, and they want to put him in a home. And one day, about a week and a half ago, I called him, and he told me, he was crying, and he said, Sal, please don't let them put me in a home. Please don't let them put me in a home. And he can be very ornery, but my first challenge was to give him hope.
because he was so very down. And I'm still trying to think of ways to do this. And finally, I said, you will not go in a home. I have 3 bedrooms. You've been at my house several times. You vacationed here. If you need, you'll come up. Well, his son, who is a very smart young man, said, well, Dad, how do you plan to get to Florida? He said, oh, Sally's son will fly me up. So I'm still giving him hope. I saw that just before he called me on my watch, and I will get back to him. But he does. I have to talk to him every day to keep him uplifted. And he said, but I won't have any money left by the time these aides leave. His children have people there 24 hours a day, and he said, I won't have any money left. I said, Joe, when you go to heaven, you won't need any money. So anyway, that's my challenge right now every day. It's been really, I hate to say this, but I'm going to, it's been a hell of a year for me. And I think I'm a lot stronger, but I thank all of you for sending me the notes that you have. And I will keep trying. I can't give up on my brother or anyone that I love. So, and that keeps me going. Thank you, Sally.
Thank you.
Does this thing work? Okay, there we go. My name's Dale. Over the years, I've been involved in 3 different 12-step programs. And so I got to put in a plug on that. But I will tell you that most of the people that make it, regardless, even those who claim to be atheists, if they live within the basic guidelines of the 10 commandments, throw in a few steps and traditions, they tend out to have pretty good recovery and pleasant to be around. They become assets to society. And I'm not preaching anything because I'm very weak as a religious scholar. But the 10 commandments, it seems to be a pretty good guideline just to keep a person morally correct. Because if they break enough of them, I'll cross the street to avoid you.
Well, my wife and I had a real moment of awe and sacredness last night. We basically have pretty good senses of humor. You know, we do find things funny. But last night we were watching a car advertise, something about a car, you know, on YouTube. And toward the end of the video on YouTube, the speaker was saying certain, you know, negative things about the car. And all of a sudden, I looked at my wife, and the two of us, for the longest time, we didn't have a moment, not that there was anything, you know, going on in our marriage that was wrong or anything, but we had the most side-splitting moment where we were actually in semi-agony laughing over this particular, you know, video, that our sides were splitting, and I looked at my wife and, you know, saw how she was laughing and how I was laughing, and that we just couldn't stop laughing. And it was like this aha moment that we hadn't experienced, you know. And even though it was sort of like this mental sadomasochism that we were just, you know, just absolutely thrilled with. And I was so grateful for having this moment because we hadn't seen it, we hadn't witnessed it for a certain period of time. And it made me grateful that I have a mate that was finding the same things that I was finding funny. And I just, you know, when I got up this morning, I was still thinking about that moment. That moment was still fresh in the cerebellum, my brain and everything. And I was very, very grateful that we had that moment.
Okay, one more? Was there a hand over there?
Helene? Bruce, Helene?
One of our closest UU friends in California passed away this week. And it was sudden, but it wasn't really sudden. It took 23 years, sudden kind of thing from an illness. And even though we're here and we haven't seen her for 8 years or something, somebody contacted Trish and she found out. And I called somebody else that lives out there that was so grateful that I told her rather than finding out through Facebook. And then since then, everyone that knows her, including me, has been writing these beautiful things about her and these wonderful things. And some people we were like sisters kinds of things. And it's just, we've been connecting, somebody's hurting and we'll write something about Carole, and then I will add something about it, and it just keeps going on and on about what a wonderful person she was.
Okay. That right there, your voices, that's Luke 10. That's the road to Jericho with people on it. That's yeast in the dough. Sacred and engaged together. Amen.
Please stand and join us for our closing hymn, number 163, For the Earth Forever Turning.
For
Aaron Coleman will now read our chalice extinguishing message.
We go forth not alone, but as companions in covenant, tending to the common good, with hope, with humor, and with heart. Craig Rowland.
I invite anyone who has just begun to visit with us and who wishes to do so to introduce themselves. Please raise your hand and an usher will bring a microphone to you. Please speak directly into the top of the microphone so we can hear you better. Doesn't look like anyone new today. Anyone online? No? Okay. On August 11th, there will be a class for those wanting to know more about Tri-UU. Please sign up at the table in the back of the room. We're running a little long. Do you think reflections? Do you want to continue, Reverend Carole? I don't know if she hears me. If we have just a few comments, if anybody has something pertinent they want to say to Reverend Carole about her sermon. Mary?
Let me know if it's working. I wanted to reference her comment from Luke. The Samaritan story with the neighbor. I've been having several conversations over the past few months with individuals who don't quite see that scripture the way the most of us do, but they claim that in the original text that the term neighbor just means someone like literally in proximity to you. And I don't know if anybody else has heard people say this to them, and they're kind of using it as an excuse to ignore what's happening to people that aren't living next door to them. And I know a person who is particularly interested in the original text and translating the words, and he said that the word for neighbor in the original text, it does mean someone right near to you. And I pointed out to him, okay, and I'm just saying this, if anybody talks to somebody that tells them this, that this is the thing to point out to them. You know, thousands of years ago, they didn't have our mass communication, they didn't have our mass transportation. They had no knowledge whatsoever of a human being living within a few hundred miles away from them, or further than a few hundred miles away from them. Therefore, they wouldn't have had a word for those people in their language. It was utterly impossible. So unless you're going to say, if you're saying we have to live within the actual cultural context of the Bible, when are you going and turning in your car for a camel? So just, that's it.
Very good. Thank you, Mary.
Yes, I'd love to thank you for this morning's sermon. It's got me thinking a lot about what sacred means. And I really didn't want to come today. I was having some sacred sleep after I've only had 5 hours sleep last night. And it was really, sacred. Yeah, it is sacred, right? And it was hard to come today, but I said, you know, I really do want to be here. And you had me thinking of all the things just in coming here are very sacred. The trip here through the farmland that I don't always get to see except on Sundays is part of my sacred experience. The fact that one of our neighbors, I don't know if anyone else notices this, but I've actually met them a few times, walks a baby carriage around our driveway, and I could see it from here in the window every Sunday morning to get their baby to probably sleep and feel good outside and have maybe some exercise. That's sacred to me, that our property can be used like that. that we have musicians that play the Beach Boys and make it sacred music is sacred to me. So there's so much, I think, that in coming here, as hard as it can be for me sometimes to get here at 9 o'clock in the morning, is part of that sacred experience. And I want to thank you for bringing that to light today.
Thank you, Cindy. Karen?
I found what you said this morning so powerful, and it spoke to my heart. Because how I've spent my life, my career, and I think just my day-to-day life and contact with people really focuses on my belief that it takes one person. And I don't care if you're at the grocery store and you start a conversation with someone who's looking at frozen food. That may be the only conversation that person has all day. They may live alone. You don't ever know what people are going through, and I know we hear that all the time. But my experience has been, and my favorite thing, the joy of my heart, is tutoring children. And I'm not a teacher by profession, but I prefer tutoring children one at a time. And I truly believe it takes one person in someone's life to make a difference. One person who cares, one person who listens can just make all the difference in a child's life, in anyone's life.
Someone online?
Yeah, can you call on Roger? He's trying to.
Roger Cooper?
I had an experience when I was a teenager. I was searching for unconditional love because I grew up in a dysfunctional family where you had to do this or not do that. And there was no way that I could find peace. And I found a lady in a small town where my dad was born, Williamstown, New York. And I went there on a weekend and I was getting ready to catch the bus back to Rochester later in the afternoon. So I took a walk in the woods. And I was going down this deer path and I stumbled on a root and I regained my balance. And there was a little chipmunk scurried across in front of me. Then he stopped. And I stopped. And at that moment, I realized that there was something that was really okay, that I couldn't do anything about it, but I just knew that it was okay, or I was okay, or that being alive was okay, that all the struggles I had growing up were not the way of defining myself. But in that little chipmunk turning around, looking at me, and I was looking at him, that was a moment out of time. And it has been a nodal point for me for reflection all my life. My life turned around when that chipmunk stopped and looked at me, and I looked at him. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. So, okay, benediction. Go ahead with the benediction.
Benediction. There is too much hardship in this world to not find joy every day. There's too much injustice in this world to not right the balance every day. There's too much pain in this world to not heal every day. Each of us ministers to a weary world. Let us go forth now and do that which calls us to make this world more loving, more compassionate, more filled with sacredness every day. Go in peace, gentle people. Amen.
And I want to add, sometimes all it takes is a smile. Smile at everyone you see. Join us for coffee and fellowship in the back of the room until 11 o'clock. There is a sign-up sheet on the table near the bookshelves to coordinate with others who'd like to go out for brunch. The Zoom room will stay open for 20 minutes.